warp speed. Alright, now, other one. Laney K.
In problem 18.
In problem number 18. Wait, is this right? This ain't even the right test, is it? Sorry. Hold on a second. Wait a second. Houston, let's look for a different one. It's not. Is there a December on there somewhere? Ha. How about this? No. How about this? Yes. Which one? 17. 18. 18.
Is 500.
Anything to the 0 power is?
1.
That's my number.
So this works like this. So it works like this. 1 to the 4th power is 1. So 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 2 to the 3rd power, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 to the 2nd power is 9. 4 to the 1st power is itself. And 5 to the 0 power is 1. So you could do it like this. 1 and 1 is 2. 2 and 8 is 10. 10 and 13 is 1 and 3. Get rid of looping there. Riley,
How do you do number 1?
number 1. Find number 1. How many hours and minutes is it from 8:45 on Monday to 6:35 a.m. on Tuesday? Who got this right? Keith, what did you do?
Kind of made the hours and then it's
Okay, you did.
kind of
Did anybody make it military time? No. That's the only way, Riley, the only way I can think of that's probably the easiest. You're starting with 8:45. And if you figure out how long it takes to get to midnight, and then how long it takes to get to 6:35 a.m. after that, it's probably your best bet. You know. And to get to midnight from 8:45 is what? You have 15 minutes till you get to 9. And then you have another 3 hours to midnight, right? So 3 hours, 15 minutes. And then to get to 6:35 from there, it's another 6 hours and 35 minutes. And then when you add that together, here you get 50 minutes, and 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 hours, 50 minutes. Time is one of those things where there's really not an easy, I mean, you even changing it to military time, I suppose, would work, because this would be 20:45, and then, but this is probably the easiest way to do it. You just kind of gotta go step by step to get to where you want to go. No easy way to do it. Sometimes some things are just like that. No easy way. Other ones while we're here. I'm sure some of you must. Cameron?
So how did you get 3:15?
Well, my next whole hour would take 15 minutes to get to, right? 15 minutes gets me to 9 o'clock. And then from 9 o'clock to 12 is how many hours? 3. So 3 hours. 3 hours and 15 minutes gets me from 8:45 to midnight. And then from midnight to 6:35 is going to take me another 6 hours and 35 minutes. Combining those two is where you get 9 hours, 50 minutes. Mitch?
15.
Lucky number 15. Yeah, everybody struggles a little bit with these. And part of 15 is just, you got all these positives and negatives and nobody really knows what to do with it. You always look for addition and subtraction signs that aren't in parentheses because they separate the problem. This problem gets separated like this, and like this. There's 3 different parts. You just got to make them a little simpler to understand. You can't do anything with the -3. There's no other negative signs out there, so it just stays a -3. Here you have 2 negatives next to each other. What happens when you have 2 negatives next to each other? It becomes a positive. Here you have 1 negative, 1 positive. Anytime there's just one of each, it is a negative. The rule is, if there's an odd number of negatives in front of it, it stays it's negative. If there's an even number, it becomes positive. And then once you have this is just like that whole thing. You have 3 negative signs. You have 2 positive signs. So those cross off and you're left with 1 negative. You have that 1 negative and you have 4 more negatives. How many negatives do you have? 5 total negatives. I don't know if I do on that. Negative 3 plus 2, you're 1 to the bad, 1 to the bad, another 4 to the bad, means you're gonna have 5 to the bad, so. Cameron?
In the notes, it just said count the negatives.
What's that?
In the notes, it just said count the number of negatives in the parentheses.
I don't know what you're saying.
For the problem, it said count the negatives in the parentheses.
That's what
the number's going to be.
I still don't know what that is. What you say in the notes I gave you said count the number of negatives in the parentheses, but they're not always in the parentheses, it's the negatives in front of it. I don't know if I would wrote that, I can go back.
Well,
and
the
look.
negatives in front of me, yeah. There's a 5 number of negatives.
Cameron, that just determines whether it's a negative or a positive number.
I'm not sure, are you reaffirming me or telling me I did something wrong? I'm not sure where we're going with this. Yeah, however, whatever, it's only the negatives, you don't worry about the positives. If there's an even number of negatives in front, and it's just in front of it, you don't count this one with this one, it's only the number in front, that means it's positive. If there's an odd number, which this one has 1, that one has 1, they stay negative. Manny Roth.
How do you what?
Well, I definitely would make sure that I have my circumference formula there. What is circumference of a circle, eh? What's that? You don't have the formula for circumference of a circle? It's not in your notes, and you didn't look? Because that would be, you gotta have that, and that's what I have for notes on tomorrow's test. I definitely would write that down. Circumference of a circle is, Elijah? Yeah, pi times diameter, and it said use 3.14 for pi. So when I write it down, it is 3.14 times, and it always is good to know what the diameter is 10 the diameter, 10 is only the radius. Diameter goes all the way through, so it is 20, double that. So your answer is going to be 3.14 times 20, which is 62.8 centimeters. And I suppose we might as well say, because I'm sure it asks you the area, same thing. You ain't gonna be able to do this unless you've got the formula. Area of a circle is pi times radius times radius. And again, 3.14 for pi. The radius was 10. 2 10s together times each other are 100. 100 times 3.14 is mental math. It's 314. And it is, whatever that was, square centimeters. Square centimeters. And we might as well do that for the bottom one. Do we have a formula for the area of a trapezoid, or did you cut it into pieces? You cut it into pieces. There is a formula, but I won't give it to you because it's just going to confuse you. This one you just have to come straight down with a line, make a right triangle. The area of said rectangle here is 6 times 8, which is 48. That's this part. And then you got to do the area of this triangle, which everybody, or a number of people forget that you have to cut it in half. It's 1/2 base times height. We know the height is 6. The base is something you got to figure out, but it's 8 inches from here to here and 12 all the way across, so the base has to be 4. Thank you for the answer. And you can do that any way you want. Half of 24, half of 4, half of 6, whatever. The answer to this is 12. You put those two areas together and that's your total area, 60 inches squared. About this one? Cameron?
I got 12 for the triangle, but I got 72
Yeah, and that's where you have to be careful. You only want this rectangle here, Cameron. And the area, the formula for area of a rectangle is length times width. This 12 goes all the way up here. That's not really the dimension of the rectangle. That's the base of the whole trapezoid. It has to stop here. It is 6 times 8. You should just use that there. And it doesn't look like it's drawn to proportion because that 8 inches certainly doesn't look longer than the 6 inches, but you gotta go by dimensions that are there, not by what you see. Always be doing. Fisher!
For number 9, can you just use the test?
For number 9, can you do what?
Use the sheet paper.
Like what rotational symmetry is?
She's asking all.
For which problem? Yeah, I don't care. Do we do number 9? Was it number 9 you asked about?
Yeah, can we use this sheet number 9 on the test?
That's fine. Okay,
14.
number 14. Children. Number 14. 14. Can't seem to get the thing on the bar there. I hope it's down, or is it on the top of the page?
It's down.
There it is, 0.8 x equals 1.2. It says solve by inverse operations, which just means when you solve it, it's not solving by inspection anymore, it's solving by inverse operations. And inverse operations means this: anytime you have an equation, you always, whatever type of equation it is, you do the opposite, which is the inverse of that. This really says 0.8 times what number gives you 1.2. So to solve it, you're going to, opposite of times is divide, which means it'll look like this. You divide by 0.8, because that goes away, and then you need to take 1.2 and divide it by 0.8. Move the decimal, bring it up. 8 goes into 12 once. Add zeros till it works out. 8 goes into 45 times 1.5. Life is good. Oh, I was going to ask about this. How many people got the sample space problem wrong? Yeah, here's what you need. Let me just give it to you so you know. Okay. If a coin is flipped 3 times, your sample space must be number 4, was it? The best way to do that is just make a little tree diagram, which just means this. When you flip a coin the first time, you only have 2 possibilities. First time you flip, there's either a head or a tail. Okay, so you flip it and you get one of those 2. Well, the second time you flip, you still only have those 2, but you're building off of what you already flipped the first time. So you can flip a head first and then get a head second, or flip a head first and then get a tail second. Or you could flip a tail first and get a head second, or you could flip a tail first and get a tail second. That's your combinations for 2 flips, but this one said to go 3. Your third flip means that off of each one of those combinations, you can either get a head or a tail. And to write those down means you have to follow the tree for each one. In other words, you gotta go, here's this. 3 heads is a possibility. Or 2 heads and a tail. Or a head, tail, head. Or a head, tail, tail. Okay, or if you start with the tail first, it's a tail, head, head. Which you probably can't see because it's green. Or a tail, head, tail. Or a tail, tail, head. Or your last combination could be a tail, tail, tail. There's your sample spaces. That's all the combinations. And then the next one asked you, well, what's the probability of getting heads at least twice? So you have 8 different choices up there. How many of them have at least 2 heads? This one has 2 heads, that one has 2 heads, that one has at least 2 heads, that one has at least 2 heads. 4 out of the 8 times you're going to get at least 2 heads, and that's a 1/2 probability. So make sure when you do tomorrow's, draw the little tree chart. You can't go wrong. If it would be flipped 4 times off of each one of these, you'd have another 2. You end up with double. Each time you do something, you double. Only 2 choices, 4 choices, 8 choices. The next time, you'd have 16 choices. And then you'd have 32 choices and 64 choices. It's a good time to think about math. Cameron,
How to get the 4 again?
which 4? This 4?
Oh, never mind.
You sure? Not really, you just have to look which of these have 2 heads and at least 2 heads. You could have 3 because that's at least 2. 2 heads, 2 heads, 2 heads, 2 heads. Elijah,
How would you do that for 7?
7. It's up here somewhere. Ricardo drove 15 miles in 20 minutes. What was his average rate in miles per hour? Well, here is the deal. You went 15 miles in 20 minutes. The problem with this is 20 minutes is not an hour, is it? You just need to make sure that you make the bottom an hour, which is how many minutes? You need the bottom to say 60 minutes, because that's an hour. So you're just making equal fractions. How do you go from 20 to 60? Multiply by 3. 15 times 3 is 45 miles. And instead of 60 minutes, they want it in 1 hour. So it is 45 m/h. 45 m/h. Number 8, I assume you just cut it in half. Do you not? 1 gallon of milk is this many liters, so a half a gallon of milk would be half of that. Cameron, sir. Who?
Number 5.
Is that over here? Is that on top?
It's in the bottom, it's on the very bottom.
A 15 question test contains 20 true or false questions. The rest are multiple choice. What's the ratio of true or false to multiple choice? So I would jot down the info I know. It's a 50 question test. That's 50 total questions, right? There are 20 true or false. The rest are multiple choice, so how many multiple choice must there be? Have to be 30 multiple choice. And the question it asks you is ratio of true or false, true, false, on top, over multiple choice. So you just plug the numbers in there. What was our true or false? 20, that goes on top. What was the multiple choice? 30, that goes on the bottom. That's your ratio, you just need to reduce the fraction. By the time you get 2 to 3, there are 2 true to false for every 3 multiple choice. Let it snow. Let it snow. Let it snow. Keith.
For number 8, why does it say about?
That is probably the best question I've had today. Does it deal with pi? What's it deal with? Put it down in 1 gallon was a measure 3.8. Well, I am going to guess that maybe that measurement of 3.78 is not. So did you put 2 down?
Yeah, I rounded 3.78 to 4 and then divided by 2.
I suppose I really couldn't argue with that, actually.
So it answers two.
Well, the deals with this, keep the sameness, okay? Whenever they use about, they're giving it, they're kind of leaving it open to you to, they just want to be close. And because they want to be close, Keith says, well, 3.78 is close to 4 liters, so cut 4 liters in half, and you're going to have 2 liters. And I say, I cannot argue with that. I am going to guess that the measurement 3.78 liters is itself estimated. So they were just saying you can't be exactly, so. You could argue that and get it right tomorrow, I suppose. I can't really stop you. Yes, right,
Can I go to the bathroom?
please. Not sure if you can or not, but I'm assuming you're that big guy.
I hope I can.
Not as much as I, actually. None of these other ones gave you issues, like problem number 20, I find it hard to believe, I know we struggle with that one on mutual occasions. In fact, the person who gave me the answer, I don't believe got it right. You just have to go, 9 goes into 36 4 times. X squared means you have 2 x's on top, and one of those gets crossed off with the one on the bottom, so you're left with just an x. Y cubed means you have 3 y's on top, one of those gets crossed off with the 1 y, so you're still left with y squared. So you still have a 4 on top with a single x and a y squared. Is that a car honking?
No, it's me.
Any other ones we didn't go by? During the holiday sale, the store discounted all items 1/3. What was the discount? We just dividing by 3. Nobody, anything else?